Welcome to Nerdy Drunken Stoned. It's Thursday, May 28th, 2020. My name's Adam. I'm joined, as always, by Michael and Jason. So, usually I say, what y'all been up to? But what do y'all think about this Joe Rogan selling his podcast to Spotify for $100 million and getting off YouTube completely?
At the end of the year.
At the end of this year, to be clear.
I think it's good for him personally. I mean, he's definitely, like, if you look at the people that he has on, they're all like heavy hitters, like Elon Musk, really important people like that. I wouldn't necessarily Dr. Phil was as important, but I mean, I'd say
Did he have Dr. Phil? He had Dr. Phil on?
They did have Dr. Phil on.
Oh my God.
No, it was a really good episode. I thought
Really?
it was great. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah,
you can say what you want about his show, but Dr. Phil's episode on Joe Rogan, I thought it was pretty good. Like, he just talked about, honestly, he talked about like some, I thought, really like down to earth shit, where usually on his show he's very preachy. And it's like a very, I don't want to compare it to Jerry Springer, but it's very like, you know, it's not like, there's not much integrity in the show, I feel like. When he came on and spoke on Joe Rogan about like his book and his podcast and shit, I was like, wow, this guy actually knows a little bit. Okay.
I disagree though. A lot of people are saying that he's going to lose a lot of his viewers.
Are you talking about Joe Rogan or Dr. Phil?
Joe Rogan.
He will lose a large chunk. I'd say I'm not sure how big.
I'd say 50%.
Yeah, 50 is possible.
Wow. See, I feel like I feel like maybe
YouTube
25.
is free.
I would say maybe 25%.
No, I gotta agree with Adam. It's because it's free. It's because everyone already uses YouTube. I don't know what your guys' like daily internet routine is, but I mean, literally, YouTube is something I click on every day and hit my subscription tabs and shit just to kind of see if anything has popped up. And yeah, and I do kind of scroll through maybe the first 16 videos that pop up on my feed, see if there's and hey, look, I have 2 Joe Rogan videos up here. So yeah, I might click on one of these. Like Adam said, it's free, it's easy, it's convenient. I'm already there, so why not listen to it? Whereas, yeah, I don't have Spotify. I don't have Spotify on my phone or my PC, so
What do you use for music?
Google Play.
Oh wow. You're such an outlier, Jason.
Perhaps, but I like it. It works. It has podcasts on there. That's why I listen to Joe Rogan. If I'm like at the gym or something, I use Google Play.
Oh, okay. It's not bad.
Nope.
My question is going to be: this is, it's meant to be launching Spotify Video. That's why they signed him. That's the whole purpose behind the $100 million, is to get the eyeballs. My question is whether or not Spotify Video is going to be like free with ads.
I assume it will. I assume that they're going to do the same kind of video platform as YouTube.
Because then, I mean, it would still be I think it would be a lot higher percentage of people that he kept if it's free. If Spotify Video has ads and is free, then I could see him keeping a much larger portion.
I just don't know about that. I just don't know.
Aren't there more Spotify members than there are iTunes? Pretty sure. Too bad.
I mean, nowadays I would imagine Spotify's dominates the market as far as music is concerned. So
Am I just trying to behind the curve on this?
I mean, a number of artists, specifically one that we know, is very against Spotify and the way they reimburse their artists and content creators. Because it's the only show in town now, basically.
Especially one we know.
Yeah, you're right.
Spotify just made our intro.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Spotify is the largest subscription music streaming service with 96 million subscribers and 170 million users overall. Now, while those are good numbers, They are not YouTube numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I hate to say it. I mean, yeah, everyone loves the Joe Rogan podcast, but like, it's like fast food. It's there. You can click on it. I can digest it, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be on Google Play. If I have to go out of my way to Spotify just to watch Joe Rogan, I mean, I'm probably not going to watch Joe Rogan, and that's nothing against him. Maybe if he has a big guest on and I can't find it somewhere else, I'll use Spotify. But even then, well, I feel like they'd be good about pulling copyright claim off of YouTube. I'm sure you could find like clips or something. I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I just feel like Spotify has such a big base that we're not going to see the drop that a lot of people are saying he's going to get.
I just don't know, man.
I mean, time will tell for sure.
I mean, because it is the podcast. Who doesn't know about the Joe Rogan podcast? If you don't know about that, you probably don't know about podcasts.
Yeah, it is the number one, and he's the big dog. But even if his audience drops, it doesn't matter because he has his money. Like he's getting paid regardless. So if his audience dwindled to 10% of what it is now, I mean, that's still like 1 million people a week or something. So it's still quite a good audience.
It's just I thought it was an interesting decision by him just because he's always seemed as if he doesn't care if the podcast makes money. Like it's never been a financial
it might not seem like that
decision for him because he's always said one of the benefits of what he calls having fuck you money is being able to do whatever he wants because he still has like tens of millions of dollars. Like he has fuck you money. He can do whatever he wants.
But the argument is he goes on quite often about the censorship on like YouTube and stuff and how they've gotten like, frivolous strikes against them and all this shit. So maybe he is gonna, maybe he wants to support a new platform and get a paycheck. Like he would like to see competition in the market, something like Spotify, which, I don't know what their terms and services are. I would hope that they're more open than like YouTube. And then that, to Joe Rogan's point, hey, look, now you're supporting a platform actively that promotes complete free speech, whether that's for better or for worse. But not only that, I mean, he was worth 25 million before, and this still is rumored to be at 100 million. So you just quadrupled your net worth. I mean, that's kind of like your legacy money. I feel like you said, yeah, you have fuck you money, but now you have so much money that you don't even have to worry about your kids or your family or like anything.
I'm pretty sure 25 million. I wouldn't have to worry about my kids or my family either.
I know. Well, I say that. I bet some shitty kids can run through 125 million.
Why do you think Dak Prescott has been so tough on his contract deal?
Oh, no.
Yeah, while we're talking about money.
I don't know. I really don't.
They offered him the highest. They offered to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Is that 35 every 5 years?
The 35 because that puts him above Russell Wilson, who I think right now is the highest paid yearly.
Who is better than Dak?
Yeah, who is better? I think the problem that Dak or maybe his agent has is the mindset that 5 years from now or 4 years from now he'll be number 5 or 6, where he'll be exponentially better.
Yeah,
but being paid a whole lot less than the top quarterbacks because it keeps going up and up and up and up and up. So they're wanting to sort of like pad it, and they're looking like, we want to make you the highest paid quarterback 3 years from now. And I think it's a little greedy. I mean, Dak, I honestly believe one day will be an elite quarterback. I think he has the possible talent. But right now he's not deserving of what he's asking.
I mean, Russell Wilson has a ring. I hate to say it like that matters, but yeah, I mean, you win a Super Bowl. Then again, if we're using that term, fuck you money again. Once you win a Super Bowl, you can kind of negotiate for that. Hey guys, look, we got the ring, so pay me like I'm a Super Bowl champ. Sure, that's and I don't know, watching the NFL, like, even that argument is such a flimsy argument. How many quarterbacks win a fucking ring and then go back and win another one? Very few. At least in this day and age. You kind of have your heyday. You make the playoffs a couple of times, you maybe win a Super Bowl. But going back to back is very rare, even in the case of Russell Wilson. If you had paid Russell Wilson, while he is the highest paid quarterback in the league, okay, how many more Super Bowls have the Seahawks won? Yeah, they make it to the playoffs, but. And so.
I mean, they would have had one more had they not thrown a pass in the red zone.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess they were seconds away from a second ring, but. I mean, hey, that's football,
they were right
man.
There.
That's play calling. So you have the highest paid quarterback in the league about to win your second Super Bowl, and you pass the ball. I mean, you pass the ball with your highest paid quarterback. So, I mean, that goes to show that, hey, sometimes the money doesn't really fucking matter, when the game's on the line. But yeah, I do think at least people are hoping that after this year, Dak has like some kind of MVP performance and is arguably worth 35 or 40 million a season, whatever the fuck crazy number. What his agent's asking 43 million a year or something. I'm sure they'll settle on like 40 or not. I mean, we've seen Jerry. I mean, Jerry could say fuck you and could be the fucking Andy Dalton show for a whole year. I mean,
which I think is going to happen. I think Andy Dalton at some point is going to turn people's heads, and people are going to start saying, that deal we made with Dak.
Dak's never gotten hurt though, so
yeah. Well,
unless they purposefully put Dalton in just to say fuck you to Dak,
they very well might.
Then Dalton won't see the field. So the question is whether or not that's what they're going to do. And if you piss Jerry Jones off enough, he has the type of personality that he will do that.
Just because Dak hasn't gotten hurt doesn't mean he can't get hurt.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that Andy Dalton can't come in and actually have a legitimate franchise behind his back. Like the Bengals, I'm sorry to any Bengals fans out there, but your organization's a joke.
And they have Joe Burrow now?
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
I mean, even the Cowboys are nothing but question marks this year. There was so much change that took place during the offseason, especially in the coaching staff, that there's no telling.
That's another thing, is how good is Dak going to be under this new system? But you could also make the argument that that football players of his play style, they don't last very long in the NFL like gunslingers do. That's why Tom Brady is playing into like age 50.
What do you consider Dak's play style as?
Like Russell Wilson's, like Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Like basically there's another, defenses have to account for another runner on the field, essentially. And I know Dak hasn't done that type of, necessarily that kind of running like Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes, but he is a runner.
I feel like that's play calling though.
But that's when the play breaks down. Typically, is when they jump out of the pocket and go for a run.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
you could design plays in which you literally turn Dak into a running back. Like they could design a play to make it look like he's going to pass, and the full intention is for him to run it.
But for whatever reason, you look at the players that have that play style in the past. They weren't amazing for very long. Randall Cunningham, which is a great Eagle, which I know you love that team, Adam. The Michael Vick.
They're great people.
Michael Vick, he was pretty decent for a while, but then he just became everybody's backup.
You could
Stop
you
fighting
could
dogs.
argue, yeah, you could argue that there's outside influences on that way more than like what his level was prior to his dogfighting scandal.
I don't think it was the dog fighting that killed his football playing skills.
Really, really.
No, because I already think at that point he was already going downhill.
Mm,
But yeah, I just feel like the lifespan of players with that play style is much shorter than gunslingers like Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady. You know, these guys are guys that are working up there in age. I don't see any run and gun quarterbacks coming close. So you could almost argue that the amount that Dak's looking for is maybe worth it because you're getting his best years. Maybe in that argument, but still, is it worth hurting the team's caps, like the team's cap, over that?
No, cap space argument like nullifies every argument for Dak, in my opinion. You hurt the team as a whole, and Dak's not good enough to carry the team right now.
Do you guys think that, as far as repeats go, the Patriots were never able to repeat, and they had Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, but do you think Andy Reid and the Chiefs have the ability?
Oh, to
I mean,
repeat?
to
Yeah,
repeat.
yeah, of course.
They
I mean,
were pretty
no, they were
not
pretty.
scary, but pretty like they
No.
were very and like confident. Like
No, they were dominant last season. It was
the
literally
second
only
halves
like
were always
them.
crazy.
It was like them, the 49ers, and the 49ers really only. Man, look, I want to love Jimmy G, but I just can't because really he's the reason. I really do feel like he's a big reason that the 49ers did not win it last year. Had they had a better quarterback behind their line, man, like they would have easily won that Super Bowl because they relied on their defense. I mean, all year, dude. Their defense was just shutting fucking teams down. Like teams that score 40 points a fucking game are scoring like 10. Like they can barely get a fucking TD. But then you have Jimmy G who can't throw more than fucking 8 yards without it just going wherever the fuck. So that's the whole thing. Once their run game broke down, dude, like in the second half and Jimmy G had to throw a pass longer than 15 yards to try to win the fucking game. I really wanted to see him shine. I was like, please do it. And he just couldn't. So I don't know. That's my 49ers rant. Anyway, no, it was
Is that because you
like
had money on it?
no, I just like the 49ers were my fantasy defense.
Madden
But
Madden is predicting that the Ravens are going to
oh,
finish.
it's because they want that Lamar Jackson honeypot. They want the young stud to win his ring and get endorsements and be on the cover and sell shoes and sell jerseys. You know, that's all that
pretty
shit
amazing. He's pretty amazing during regular season.
He's pretty marketable. Is what I'll say.
Marketable, okay.
Yeah, he's a marketable face because he's not like an attractive guy. He's like an everyman, and he's also like really hardworking and well spoken. Like he's someone that you can advertise very well. You know,
So not Jimmy G.
not Jimmy G. No, I mean you're exactly right though. Like he's a young, athletic black man in America who is humble and he's a hard worker and he supports those things. Like he's like a LeBron James. Like you can market the shit out of that. As long as he wins, he has to win. If he doesn't win, oh no, here we go. You have to leave. Bye.
Well, we have a special guest on the podcast today.
No. Can't you kick him out? Leave. Thank you.
Well, that was interesting.
Invite only, eh, Mike?
It was supposed to be invite only. Apparently,
Yeah.
it's not. But the name of the room is live, so so you know.
I don't think you saw that.
It is what it is.
But anyways, back to Back to
We're
football
talking
and
about
marketing.
Jimmy G.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is a easily marketable man in the NFL. So they want him to succeed. I mean, you always have one of these guys coming out of the draft that you create a hype machine around in case they succeed. And 80% of them don't. Don't get me wrong, Lamar Jackson had a monster career, monster year last year. I mean, I assume he won Rookie of the Year, if not like MVP. Um, I'm not actually sure who won MVP last year, but I don't know. I just think that's that narrative because he's so marketable, and he did do so good last year. But I mean, look at the Rams. It's that same shit, man. You first year quarterbacks these days can be fairly good, but then again, once you have tape, unless you're changing your game up, man, people got to know what the fuck to look for.
Fair enough. That's why I feel like the Texans quarterback is.
It was
going to
Lamar
struggle.
Jackson. He got Lamar. Texans quarterback struggles every fucking year. Deshaun. See, I think Deshaun is actually more reliable, barring injury, because his ass does get put on the ground 6 to 7 times a game. Let's see Lamar Jackson
That's
take
true.
6 sacks a fucking game and then throw like he does. And I hate to say it because Deshaun does. Deshaun gets thrown on his ass, will throw fucking 4 TDs out of like nowhere and win. And I'm not saying that's like impressive, but like he reliably drug their ass to the Super Bowl playoffs last year, probably leading the league in sacks, I imagine, if not like top 5 sack QB. Where again, Lamar Jackson's on a great team. He's in a great system right now. He's very young. He's not injured. Deshaun has battled injuries. I know. Last year he had like fucking 2 of them. I don't know. Everyone just wants to see young, fresh faces because it's new blood. It's new blood. White, black, QB, it doesn't matter. You know, people probably want to see Joe Burrow do good. I guarantee you, if Joe Burrow has a decent season on the Bengals, everyone's going to be toting him as the next great thing because look, it's a young white passing quarterback, and he's bringing the Cincinnati Bengals up. Like it's this whole narrative of selling tickets and jerseys and getting these fresh young faces into your game. Like the NFL needs more fucking viewers, but
Yeah, yeah. That's. I definitely agree with you. I just feel like you expect so much from these rookie quarterbacks that's just like, how are they truly supposed to live up to this? Like, how is Joe Burrow going to live up to that hype?
I mean, the rookies.
he's not.
The rookies generally sometimes do live up. The problem is that sophomore slump because the fact that now the teams have tape, like Jason said. So someone that is explosive or dynamic and is using techniques that other defenses aren't used to, after a full season, they can just sit and watch all your tape and they go, oh, okay. So unless you're at that pro level caliber that you can expand, you learn every year, you change, your offenses become more flexible and dynamic, then it doesn't matter.
Let's see.
It's a different game.
I hate to harp on. So Lamar Jackson had 23 sacks last year on him. Pretty good. I think ranked. So if we're inversing the ranks, he's ranked like 28th in amount of sacks, but the top 6, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, and Kyle Murray all came in at top with 48 sacks, followed by Jameis Winston and Kyle Allen at 47, and then Deshaun Watson was 3rd, I guess, or 6th, however you want to put it, with 44 sacks.
So you weren't necessarily wrong.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, he's 2 sacks away from being the most sacked quarterback in the league. And again, when you're looking at other names on that fucking list, like Kyle Allen and I can't even remember now because I clicked off of it. But yeah, he's probably the best quarterback. Well, Jameis Winston is probably maybe as good as Deshaun when he's not getting sacked. So, where's Jameis Winston nowadays?
He's a backup for the
Oh, that's
Saints.
sad. That's unfortunate. Well,
He needs it because he needs to learn from Drew Brees.
I think Jameis Winston's a fairly confident quarterback when he's not taking 48 sacks a season. Fucking, what's that averaged out? Like some ridiculous number, like 4 sacks a game. But yeah, he could learn behind Breeze, and even if they used him in that system in say 2 or 3 years when Breeze finally ages, like that's fantastic for him actually. Like that's a really good system for Jameis Winston to get into, I think.
Agreed. So I saw a really interesting article today, or not today, this week. I was just curious to see what you guys thought about it. There was an article about 3 boys letting a black widow bite them.
Oh, I read that last night, actually.
In hopes of turning into Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, did they turn into Spider-Man?
The 3 Bolivian brothers were hospitalized after getting a black widow spider to bite them, thinking it would turn them into Spider-Man, according to officials. The Marvel-loving siblings, ages 12, 10, and 8, found the spider while herding goats. Thinking that it would give them powers, they prodded it with a stick until it bit each one of them.
Maybe they didn't know what a black widow was.
This kind of looks like Spider-Man's spider, doesn't it, guys?
I mean, it looks unique. Like, it looks interesting. If you didn't know what a black widow was, it would certainly look unique. But so do, like, a lot of spiders. Most spiders have
you ever seen a black widow in person?
No.
They're fucking terrifying.
As are most spiders. But
no,
I guess
but these things, like, they are especially, they look like the devil.
Well, let it bite you.
Apparently they were okay, though. Apparently they didn't see anything else.
That's unfortunate. So
I think they probably learned their lessons. I mean, they are not even teenagers yet, so
I don't know. When I was 10, I was not letting spiders bite me.
You weren't hurting goats though either.
That's a good point. That's what I'm saying. Like they might.
I mean,
just
you
not
weren't
even
making napalm though.
No, that's just gasoline and styrofoam. And I think I was like 12. Thank you very much.
I was 12.
Deep cuts that I'm not even aware of.
They're not deep cuts. It's just shit that bored kids do. But I didn't know what a black widow spider was. So
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They must have just not known what that was. I thought it was like magical. Oh, let the spider bite us. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Their parents need to talk to them about Marvel movies. Tell them that this is not real.
They're like, you guys need to start watching DC. You're done.
Yeah, what is that? 4th graders?
Yeah, 4th graders.
Yeah, speaking of DC, Snyder Cut. It's coming to HBO Max in 2021. They're already releasing images of Darkseid.
Are they?
Martian Manhunter images.
Martian Manhunter.
Look.
So there are some changes. Like there are clear changes.
Look, I'm
it's coming.
Excited
it's
as
official.
Anyone is about that. I'm very excited. I like Zack Snyder. I like my boy Henry Cavill. I like most of those guys on that crew. Can you actually make that into a good movie? Because Justice League is not a good movie. It's not a good movie. That's not a memorable fight scene in it.
The Flash sequence.
Okay, the Flash sequence. You're right. So there you go. You have a 1-minute sequence. Actually, most of the sequences with the Flash.
Flash and Superman, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That's probably the only interesting part of the film is when Kal-El is a little confused and they have to fight him. But short of that, I mean, who's the villain?
Oh, I forget his name.
Oh, you forget his name.
Oh, man. Well, he's such an unmemorable character.
Exactly. And he's just a big CG monster. He's CG Monster Man. And, he goes and attacks. So let's recall the plot of Justice League. So CG Monster Man attacks not Atlantis, attacks Amazonia. What is it called?
Yeah, he attacks the place where Wonder Woman's.
And he steals one of the cubes. He gets a cube. Batman kills a bug, and the bug leaves a cube indentation. And I'm not sure why that happened.
It's a symbol when it explodes.
Yeah, so I thought that would like mean something. I remember being like, "Oh, that's a clue, clearly." And then I was like, "Wait, why do they do that? Like, why would they explode into clues?" But anyway, so he steals a clue cube from the Amazon, and then he steals
It's a
one.
box. It's a mother box.
There's 3. Yeah, you need 3 to.
Or the 3
power
make
up.
the mother box or whatever.
Yeah, it's the infinity cubes.
Infinity cubes.
You need 3 of them, and he steals one from Atlantis, but they don't actually show that, right? Is there like a quick
does.
No, he straight
flashback?
up he straight invades that place.
But it's quick, right? Was it a
it's
quick
not a long.
scene?
It's not real long. It's like
Yeah,
maybe
because the
5
Amazon
minutes.
scene is
No,
like the
'cause he
whole
whips their
first
ass.
30 minutes or something, and then like he just shows up, and I feel like the Atlantis scene was like 1 minute long. He's like, "All right, I got this shit. Bye." And then the third cube is somewhere.
It's been a minute since we've
It's
seen
been a
that.
minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, all I'm saying is it's not that memorable. So I don't remember shit. I remember they fought in a sewer and they lost.
Oh yeah, I remember
And
Batman
then-
has a crab walking. Like,
Yeah, he had
robot
the
machine,
weird crab tank that
which is redonkulous.
What the fuck ever. I can't remember anything. I don't Stephen Wolf. It's Stephen
There we
Wolf, by the
go.
way.
Steppenwolf. There you go.
I can't remember
Everybody's like,
if
aha! That's
if
the
Stephen
fucking CG
Wolf-
monster man.
yeah, if Stephen Wolf
It's Wolf, but I
beats
think it's
them
like PH.
in the sewers, they fight in the sewers, and then they have a we're mad at each other moment. And then I think they're like, let's bring Superman back to life. I don't know how they got there, but they do. And then they bring him back to life, and then he's confused. Then he's a good guy, and they just go to CG land of Nightmare Land, and they
Yeah,
fight.
basically.
And then Superman shows up and just handles everyone's business.
It's a lot more bugs.
Yeah, because they're like not doing well, if I recall. And then again, Superman shows up. He's like, "It's fucking fine." Like,
What are they called, Mike? I know you know their name. They were
Parademons.
just parademons because
Parademons.
they were just in the fucking.
Para.
They were just in the fucking comic that me and Mike read earlier this week. He was
Rock of
showing me what,
Ages.
yeah, Rock of Ages, which would make a great fucking DC storyline if they ever decided to.
Well, so again,
Compete with
all,
Marvel.
all I'm saying is Justice League was a fucking mess in its original cut. What is Zack Snyder 3.5 hour cut? Fix it? I mean, how? I just don't know. I feel like I don't know what you can do to save that movie, even adding 2 hours to it.
Supposedly there was a lot of reshoots, so
They
Yeah,
brought
I
people
imagine
back.
a lot of scenes were cut. So
Josh Whedon.
if you
was
cut
the guy.
Whedon's stuff out and put Snyder's stuff back in, it might be a different film entirely.
But then that you have to beg the question: why did they recut it in the first place? Did someone sit down and watch it and go, "Holy shit, this is terrible"? Like,
It was because
Josh Whedon.
it was because Zack Snyder had a family emergency.
oh, yeah.
And he had to step
No,
it
but he's
down.
saying, Jason's saying why'd they recut it?
Well,
Why didn't they just finish his project?
because they basically said we can't wait for you to do this. So they're like, well, we'll put in another director to finish. It's like 90% done anyway, so it'll be fine. Which turned out to be a disaster. I mean, if you take out Darkseid or Martian Manhunter, those are characters that people will go to see that movie for.
Well, A, they're not going to see it fucking anyway. They're going to that couch to watch it. But B, again, you're cramming more characters into an already bloated film where you already had to introduce Cyborg. Just literally like, here's Cyborg, guys.
from
Aquaman gets
I
a
forgot that he got introduced in that film.
yeah, Aquaman gets a very short introduction, but his introduction is more memorable, I guess, than Cyborg. Maybe I don't know, due to casting, or again, that's kind of a nod to Zack Snyder. Good job for him making Aquaman memorable when he literally gets introduced in Justice League, I believe. So,
I don't know if it's Zack Snyder as much as just the casting itself.
you don't think that's Zack Snyder? That's kind of like his style, though. I mean, look, he got Ben Affleck to play Batman, Henry Cavill. Like, he kind of goes with, I hate to say it, like handsome, big actors. Like, he didn't want Aquaman. I guarantee you that's a Zack Snyder decision. Like, hey, instead of making Aquaman like it's kind of like a muscular guy, like let's make him like a fucking rebel. You know,
You're
like
like,
that
give me Jason. Give me Khal Drogo. I want
Yeah,
Jason
yeah.
Momoa playing
Yeah.
Aquaman. Don't give me this little blonde, girly looking.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't
individual.
even have to be girly. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, you could have had like a swole blonde guy, and he's still like a Chris Evans or something, and he still would have been like, no, like Zack Snyder likes that rough shit, you know. Like, go watch Watchmen, you know. Like, he enjoys
true.
the darker shit. So I definitely think that was him with Aquaman casting, and again, good to him. I mean, it fits his universe that he's kind of created. But I mean, back to my point of so now Martian Manhunter, great character. I mean, what you add 20, 30 an hour to this film, and you're just supposed to cram him in there and make it work. Same thing with Darkseid. I mean, we don't even have like a hint of Darkseid, and we're just supposed to introduce him as a villain. Like, why? Just to get beat up?
Martian Manhunter, there was supposed to be a big payoff for him because apparently, Martian Manhunter, one of his abilities is he can metamorph himself into any person, like looking like any other guy that he wants to or lady. But apparently, they were gonna pay off his character with, he's been here the entire time, playing different characters.
Wasn't he? He was gonna be the general, right? Like Henry I'm looking it up for Man of Steel. Henry Lexon is the actor's name.
Mm-hmm.
He played a general in Man of Steel, and yeah, I think he's supposed to be Martian Manhunter. So
yeah, there's supposed to be a big payoff with him, which just never came about because when Snyder had to step out, it really seems like they tried to put a Band-Aid. They're like, how can we Band-Aid this ending and make it just seem like a complete movie?
how can you Band-Aid the whole fucking movie? Honestly, it should have been 2 parts. I mean,
Probably, yeah.
Or honestly, I mean, take the Marvel route, because Ben Affleck's Batman and the Flash, yeah, whatever his name is, both of them are good enough actors.
Klein?
And I want to say it's Urza Klein or like Urza Miller or something.
I think it's Miller.
But both of them were good enough in Justice League.
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, Ezra Miller. Both of them were good enough actors. Clearly, Ben Affleck's a good actor, and Urza's great in a lot of things that he's in. Perks of Being a
fucking love Ezra. Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Wallflower. Yeah, whatever. That's for ladies. But
Fuck you,
a manly film is we need to talk about Kevin. That's a true man movie about school shootings. It's great.
So not the reader.
Not the reader, exactly. Dude, have you guys not seen We Need to Talk About Kevin? That's a really good fucking movie.
I've never even heard of We Need to Talk About Kevin.
He's in it. He plays it's some family and he's the son. And this isn't a spoiler because you know right away that this happens, but it's like leading up to it. He practices like archery and he does a school shooting. Like he literally, that's how like the movie opens, and then the whole movie is him like growing up and like what makes him kind of go to that. And the whole movie's dealing with the mother, and like how the community hates her and why she can't like move away. Dude, it's such a fucking crazy movie. It's really good. It's really like powerful, and really fucked up. But he's
looks like it's based on a book.
Yeah, he's fantastic in it. I mean, he's so good. That's my favorite movie of his. But anyway, so him and Ben Affleck clearly have acting chops. they could carry solo movies easily. We've already seen that Jason Momoa did it. He broke $1 billion with Aquaman. So I just felt like it was very shitty planning to not have a solo Batman film and a solo Flash film build hype for these movies. And I mean, look, I know Cyborg was kind of forgettable, but I mean, maybe he wouldn't have been forgettable if you had given him a solo film. Because I hate to say it, I don't know his name, but I know he's a good actor as well. I know he's been in projects. So
Well, it's like getting back to what Adam was talking about with the story of Rock of Ages. It's Warner Brothers as opposed. I think it's more Warner Brothers wanting to just sell tickets or sell merchandise, being focused on that side of things as opposed to Disney and how they were like, okay, we're gonna put in the legwork. We're gonna build a universe where we're gonna do a movie for each one of our guys. So it's this huge build up. Everything in Justice League was just kind of, let's throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
yeah.
And the worst thing you could probably have happen to that was when Snyder dropped out because he had to take care of his family issues. But because then they're just kind of it's a ship without its captain.
Yeah, and whether you like the direction the DC films have taken or not, with like a darker tone in contrast to Marvel, like it is cohesive. Like you can watch Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman gets a little darker, and then Justice League is kind of right there with it too. But it's consistent in like what it's trying to be, like darker and grittier. Even Wonder Woman is lighter, but it's still, it's a little more darker than say your average Marvel film.
Jason, did you hear that? It was reported today, like everyone's running with it. Henry Cavill is confirmed that he's returning from multiple DC films as Superman.
That makes me very happy.
So we at least get to keep Henry Cavill.
Well, I'm just saying that he's in talks to reprise his role. But I mean, whatever. That's good. And hey, after the success of The Witcher, and I say success because it clearly was a success, even if I thought it was not good. But plenty of people watched it, and it's a hit for Netflix, and I'm sure it'll be renewed for 5 seasons, and I'll just shit on it more later.
6 seasons in a movie, Jason. 6 seasons in a movie.
Henry Cavill's the only good fucking person in that fucking show, so good for him. I mean, yeah, he's a great Superman. I know Noah maybe thinks differently. I'll love to argue with anyone any day of the week. I think he's a fantastic Superman.
I feel like Gal Gadot has really grown on me because I didn't think that she was going to be a great Wonder Woman. But
just go watch Wonder Woman. And
exactly.
Then okay, yeah, she's great.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought she's crushed it so far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's very charismatic. Like that's
she's a likable person.
Well, she was body shamed because a lot of people are saying, a lot of fans are saying, "Oh, well, she's not big enough."
Yeah, I did this. I did that. I did this exact thing you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah. Speaking of horrible attempts at movies, I watched Bumblebee over the weekend.
I didn't watch Bumblebee.
I have a follow-up movie that I watched last night that I want to fucking talk about. But
no.
Personally, I liked Bumblebee. It's fun. What's wrong with you? Do you not have a soul, Mike? Like, do you not enjoy childlike wonder anymore?
It's about as serious as Air Bud is. I mean, we're talking about...
It's Transformers. They're cars that turn into robots. How serious do you want it to be?
They're trying
Michael Bay went as far as he could with it, and there's only so much tits, ass, and explosions that can save that film.
Well, when you get what you get out of Bumblebee, I will take Michael Bay's Transformers trying to take over the world every single time, hands down. Because if I were 9, I would love this Bumblebee movie, but I'm not 9 years old. This movie is It's about teenage angst. It's about trying to find your way in life in high school while dealing with a beetle that transforms into a robot. And the best scenes in that movie have nothing to do with Bumblebee whatsoever. It's, that would be like having a Batman movie and being like, I loved everything but Batman. It was a fantastic movie. It's very I find that movie to be very difficult to defend. It's like Nickelodeon meets Transformers, essentially.
Could Bumblebee speak in this film? Like, did he have his voice box?
In the very beginning, he does, and something happens to him. However, the other issue I have with it is the fact that the only person that has the wherewithal to be like, hey, maybe these things called Decepticons are bad, was John Cena. John Cena, the brainy John Cena, that he's known for, was the one guy who was like, he
was the worst part of that movie.
Are you kidding me? He's the only one that made sense.
No, John Cena was by far the worst part of the movie. He was just like the meathead villain. Like, that's all he was.
He wasn't a meathead
I thought
villain.
he was a good guy.
He figured everything out.
Not a good guy.
I mean, that movie is so confused. As a whole.
To Mike's credit, though, Mike is literally sitting here telling you that the villain was the only guy. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't trust these bad robots.
I mean, not technically a villain, but it's one of those like, I don't trust the robot.
Well, was he right or wrong?
Yeah, he was right.
It's Bumblebee. There's nothing wrong with Bumblebee.
No, it was a moratorium. He was saying that we shouldn't. They essentially hand over the nukes to Decepticons because we don't want Russia to establish a connection with these talking robots before we do. Just absolutely redonkulous story. Just, oh my goodness, I just could not.
How do you feel about Haley Steinfeld just in general?
What is she in?
I have no issues with her as an actor at all.
Pitch Perfect.
But the fact that she is a teenager / mechanic prodigy, she goes into a garage shop and a guy's like, yeah, give me the 9/10 wrench or whatever. And she's like, no, you want the 5/10. Like, and she hands it to him and he's like, oh wow, you're right. A guy who went to school and this is his life, this is his craft, this is his way of living, is outsmarted by some teenage girl. Like, that's the kind of example of how ridiculous and how unwatchable this movie is as an adult.
I haven't ever seen Pitch Perfect, so I see here that she's in 2 and 3. So yeah. I won't. She was in True Grit. I mean, True Grit's good, but that was in 2002. So you're talking about 10 years prior. Yeah, she was good in True Grit. I mean,
True Grit was, if you like Westerns.
Yeah, but so what I'm saying is that's a different style than Bumblebee. I don't know what she's like in Bumblebee. I don't know. Bumblebee is still on my to watch. Now I almost want to watch it more, hearing your conflicted opinions about it. So
I think I know where you're going to end up, Jason.
We'll find out. I do like fun movies. I really liked Speed Racer.
I like fun movies too.
Speed Racer was like one of my favorite movies, and like no one liked Speed Racer.
Bumblebee is a cringe fun movie.
I would compare Bumblebee to like the Power Rangers reboot. I'm not saying it's a great film, but it's still fun. There are definitely some glaring flaws, but there are fun aspects to it. That's how I would compare it.
That's being generous. Comparing it to the new Power Rangers.
I did like the new Power Rangers.
Even that was better. I'd rather watch that than Bumblebee.
I disagree. Well, I watched Uncut Gems last night.
Oh, it's on Netflix now. I saw it last night.
Yeah.
I said, hey, look, they finally put Uncut Gems on here.
I don't know why they're saying Adam Sandler got robbed. Because
he plays
while it's not a bad movie, that it's definitely overrated from what
The film
I heard
itself?
previously to what I watched. Yeah.
So I've seen the director's prior film, which was Good Time with Robert Pattinson, whoever the new Batman is, Twilight guy. And that movie was really good. It was, again, I would describe that movie as a fever dream. It's very fast. You don't really have time to breathe. A lot of crazy shit going on. And then like it ends and you're like, damn, that was crazy. And I've kind of heard similar things from Uncut Gems. Like it's a very fast moving film. So
It felt a little not incoherent. I mean, it was obvious what they were doing the whole time, but it felt as if it was just recycling the same problem over and over again, just upping the stakes each time. Because basically, without spoiling it, he has a compulsive gambling personality.
yeah, he's
Whether
just
it
trying
be in
to
life or actually in gambling, that's who he is. So it's just that over and over and over and over again until the movie finally ends, and you're like,
he's just trying to settle his debt, right? Like constantly.
pretty
Honestly,
much.
that's kind of see. This is why I never saw Uncut Gems, but the plot is just so like Good Time. It's the same thing. Like, oh, they try to rob a bank, and the brother goes to jail, and he needs $10,000 to pay his brother's bill. So the whole movie is him trying to get this money. They're like, okay, I'm gonna do this. 15 minutes later, that doesn't work out. All right, but hey, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. And so it just gets like crazier and crazier, and you're just like, Jesus, like how did we get here? And that's so when I hear people describe Uncut Gems, I'm like, sounds like the guy wrote the same movie, just like from a different angle. Like these guys are bank robbers, like this guy's a gambler, but it's the same story.
I mean, granted, I've never seen Adam Sandler play a role like that, and it was believable. He crushed it. Like he did a great job at the character that he was playing. So in that case, yeah, props on Adam Sandler. I've never seen him play a serious character outside of what's the one where he's got cancer and he's dying?
Is that the one with the remote? Click.
No.
He has magical powers in that movie.
What about Punch Drunk Love? Was that the one where he had cancer? No, that's a serious role too.
That's not it.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
either way, he plays a New Yorker. Like he plays a New York Jew.
Yeah, he plays a banker,
a swindler.
banker.
That's all he does. That's all he plays.
This episode is going downhill very fast.
No, I'm just saying.
That is who he is. He's unapologetic. He's an unapologetic swindly Jew man. I mean, that is who he plays. Open.
That's the character. That's who it's supposed to be.
Well, it looks like we're moving to Spotify at some point.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's fine. That's why they're gonna exist at this point.
I'm not someone whom has ever enjoyed Adam Sandler movies or his stand-up comedy.
You don't like Hotel Transylvania?
I did not watch that.
Okay.
I mean,
he's a voice actor at this point. No.
Oh, okay. What are his most famous movies? He's a golfer.
Happy
Billy
Gilmore.
Madison. Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Never liked any of those movies. Could not wait until they were
The Water Boy.
The Wedding Singer.
The Wedding Singer.
For either one of those. Was happy happy to see those movies go and pass.
Little Nicky. No.
Don't think so.
Not really?
Happening. Yeah, I don't need to watch an undead Adam Sandler singing.
He's not undead. He's the son of the devil.
Oh, see, that's even worse.
Were you talking about Reign Over Me? That movie where his fucking parents get killed in 9/11, or his wife and kids get killed in 9/11, and Don Cheadle's his friend or something. He was really good in that. That was a dramatic role, and he was good in that. I remember that movie.
I'd rather.
I don't believe so.
If we're talking about movies that involve people that are typically funny doing something serious, Steve Carell kicks his ass all day, every day.
Well, Have you read the reviews for your Space Force?
Speaking of Steve Carell, Space Force comes out tomorrow, and
the reviews are not,
which will probably be today if people watch this when it goes live on YouTube, and the reviews are not great.
Not kind.
They are pretty rough, which is disappointing. A lot of people, well, not a lot. I've seen a few reviews that have compared it to sort of Michael Scott season 1, which I could see as
I like season 1 of The Office, so that's not criticism.
91% of the people on Rotten Tomatoes liked Bumblebee, so I am fine.
Okay.
Not
funny people. Funny People was the movie that I was thinking about. Right, he's dying.
Oh, okay. Funny People. I gotcha.
Yeah, that sounds like an awful time. I do not want to watch Adam Sandler in serious roles. Oh my gosh. Give me Steve.
I mean, he has Seth Rogen with him. Like Seth Rogen, an aspiring comedian. He's like the seasoned comedian. But yeah, Space Force comes out tomorrow. I was really looking forward to it. I'm still going to watch it. But
yeah, we'll probably actually watch it. John Malkovich is in it, and I usually watch.
I mean, the cast
anything John Malkovich is in
is pretty solid. They've got Silicon Valley people. They've got Parks and Rec people. They've obviously got Steve Carell, John Malkovich. I mean, I think even if it doesn't live up, that they could possibly course correct.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. It will be big enough that they'll definitely have a season 2 to like fix it at least. Like if it bombs in season 2 also, it'll probably be done.
Yeah,
but you have enough talent behind it that you can fuck up that writer's room and be like, look, guys, like there's no reason this shouldn't work.
Yeah, like we have everything we need. So
yeah,
fucking fix it. Besides Uncut Gems, have either of y'all watched Extraction with Chris Hemsworth?
No, is that an Indian film?
It
takes place in India, but
it's like a military movie.
Yeah. I know
he's
it's like
a mercenary
an action film, but
like he's I'm assuming he's ex-military, but he's a mercenary.
It just didn't seem that interesting to me.
I wanted to watch it. I enjoy.
It's a lot of fun.
I enjoy a good action movie. Chris Hemsworth is a pretty good actor. I mean, he's a pretty good comedic actor to say the least. So,
I mean, it's a lot of fun. The action sequences, the gunfights are pretty fucking ridiculous. The directing was top notch in my opinion.
When you say ridiculous, do you mean like realistic or like like a John Wick over the top?
I did see that they had
kind of John. Yeah, it would be kind of like I was even talking to Emily during it, like during one of the shots, and I was like, "See, I know special forces people are good, but I highly doubt anyone is this good. Like it's sort of John Wickish that."
Okay.
There's one cool moment where he's trying to get away, and they actually leave him and cut to like the bad guys, or say the people that are after him, and then they start searching a building, and the camera's following them. So you don't know where he is either until he pops out, and then it starts being like the whole like shoot, like grab your gun, shoot this guy, use you as a shield, like crazy shit.
Shooty, bang, bang. Yeah, I'll probably watch it eventually. I like a good action film. So.
It was a lot of fun, and they had like a decent actual story behind it. I mean, it's more or less just like drug lord versus drug lord. There's a mercenary in the middle and a kid involved.
Yeah, there's always a kid involved in these movies now. It's, Man on Fire, and
they've already confirmed the sequel. So it was good enough for that, and personally I'm looking forward to the sequel. It was solid.
Digital releases are the way to go now. maybe this is the only way Justice League will be successful, is releasing the Snyder Cut digitally.
Yeah,
It
because
is
you get
only-
to go around the studio.
Yeah, I thought it was
Studios are
only
the problem.
being released digitally. It's not coming out in theaters. It's an HBO Max exclusive. It's coming
No.
to HBO Max.
I meant as far as successful DC movies go.
Oh, wow.
Because they can only, I mean, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Other than that, everything else has been a shit show.
What else has that been? I mean,
Well,
Man of
Aquaman-
Steel did well. It was really only Batman v Superman that got critically panned.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've had good films. It's just they don't have the Marvel universe.
Yeah, you don't have 22 $1 billion films, you know.
What was the movie with Will Smith?
Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
Suicide
not
Squad.
good.
But okay, not good, but it still was. It was like the 5th highest grossing movie of the year. Like it still did extremely well in terms of box office returns. So
Really? I didn't know it did that well.
yeah, it did super good. Well, I say 5th of the year. I think it might have been 5th best domestic. I think it did like 800 million overall for the year. So globally, it was like top 15, top 10. But nationally, I think it was top 5.
It just feels
Domestic.
like every Marvel movie is gonna make like $1 billion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If a Marvel movie doesn't make $1 billion, it is a failure. 100%. 100%. Shit, even Captain Marvel made $1 billion, you know.
Are y'all excited for the new Batman?
Yes. I mean, yes and no. Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, there's nothing out. I can't judge it. There's nothing out.
I mean, there's photos.
Sure. It looks a little but
Knight
I mean,
Rider-ish.
yeah, but maybe in motion it'll look much better. So,
Which is true. I thought Aladdin was going to be terrible because it looked like a blue Majin Buu.
yeah.
Aladdin looked like trash before that movie came out, and then I loved it. I mean, it looks grittier. Like, it looks like they're going for, like, as realistic as possible. And this sort of gritty style.
Well, did you notice the bat symbol was made out of
Yeah, the gun parts.
gun parts?
That part,
Really?
that feels cheesy to me. When I saw that, I was like, meh. I'd take issue with this a little bit.
The whole let's keep making things dark and gritty with DC in general turns me off. Because
I mean, that's what Batman is, though.
you can still have fun with Batman.
Batman.
Batman just because he's quiet, just because he's calculating, does not mean he's not a fun character. But they keep thinking that this Batman is going to be the darkest Batman you've ever seen. And they keep trying to outdo themselves every time. Like Ben Affleck's Batman was psychotic. You know.
Psychotic.
Yeah,
and it's just like, that's not, I don't enjoy Batman because I'm like, this is the darkest Batman you've ever seen. Like, that's not why I like Batman. I like Batman because he's James Bond in a cape. And he's got tons of money.
He's James Bond in a cape.
Basically, like, there's nothing you can do that he can't get out of, that he hasn't already figured out way ahead of time. But they just keep going down this road of make things dark, because we're DC and we don't have fun in any of our movies. So
Yeah, but they have too much fucking fun on their TV shows. So it's like, what do you want? TV shows are too cartoony. The movies are too dark.
I'd rather have the TV shows.
TV shows have done ridiculously well.
I mean, I loved Smallville, and I started to watch Arrow when it first came out, and then I just fell off. And then like a billion others have come out, and every time I see any clips or anything, I'm like, I mean,
It's the polar opposite of Marvel's problem. Marvel's problem is they put out great movies. Who wants to watch the TV shows? DC, they put out trash movies. Who wants to watch the movies when you have the TV shows?
Yeah, when you have like a connected universe between like 6 shows going on, with these huge fucking crossovers like Crisis on Infinite Earth and shit. Like
I still need
honestly,
to watch
yeah,
that.
their TV is like Marvel quality. Like you have these enormous events where look, we have 8 Supermen coming back and every person that had a cameo ever. Wow, this is incredible. Never been done before. And yeah, and the movies are like, we'll introduce 5 characters in this one film. I hope you enjoy it. Like,
That's true. Did y'all see that? Speaking of the DC TV shows, that Ruby Rose, who plays Batwoman, is leaving the show after it was renewed for a second season.
yeah,
I did see that.
And she gave like a generic
She's
excuse,
like, it's not for me, basically, type thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which I can
imagine
respect.
yeah.
I can respect that.
She probably got paid a bunch for that first season, I imagine, and then maybe she just didn't want to shoehorn herself into that role for the rest of her career. I mean, she seems to be an actress that likes to take on a lot of different roles. So, yeah, she said, fuck it, give it to someone else, And who knows, maybe that could become like a theme for that show. Have a different woman every season, so that way it's not like,
Yeah,
oh, one woman is powerful, all women are powerful, some cheesy dialogue like that or something.
I could see them spinning it like that. Also saw some, I think it was theories more so, that it was like the stunt work was starting to like be dangerous or hurt her body, so she was worried about continually doing it.
Injuries. Yes.
I don't know. It's just a theory. One show I watched this week that was Upload, which I have to talk about.
Oh, what? That's that FX show, right?
Amazon.
No, it's on Netflix.
Oh.
What? It's on Netflix?
Yeah. It might have been on FX. Well, I watched it on Netflix.
Oh.
It might be on, it might be from FX. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's just a Netflix exclusive. Concept is that basically, whenever you die, you get uploaded into this virtual reality.
So it's an episode of Black Mirror.
It
is literally an episode of
It was
Black
a
Mirror.
series that is an episode of Black Mirror. And depending on what your income is what kind of retirement, quote unquote, facility you can afford to upload your consciousness into.
DLC is going to be the death of us all.
So some people get
saying.
like the shitty stuff. There's a lower level called 2 gigs, where they only have 2 gigs a month. So
Nobody
they have to be
wants 2
very like
gigs.
careful about what they do or make phone calls.
What happens if you run out of your limit?
Get
And
turned
And you
off,
freeze.
man.
You get turned
freeze.
off for the month. Like you're just like this gray person sitting there in your bed.
Damn.
It's a neat concept. There's customer service representatives, so there are people that are alive that actively speak to the people in this virtual reality that are dead and help them, like, oh, what do you need, sir? Like, how can we help you? They call them angels. It is a very cool show. I recommend everyone watch it. They have some pretty little meta things as well. Like at one point they go to Asimov's bar for Isaac Asimov, who has the rules for who like wrote those rules for artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Like when I saw the name of the bar, I was like, is that what I think it is? And I Googled it real quick and I was like, yeah, I know I wasn't wrong. It's, I don't know. I thought it was really neat.
Cool.
I enjoyed it.
Cool
I'm looking
reference
forward.
bar. I've already seen San Junipero. I don't, it did a fine.
Well, it's a better version.
Supposed to watch a whole show about San Junipero. I already did it.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, no. And it's a Netflix show too. No, I don't know. Can't do it.
It's good, man. I'm telling you, it's good.
I'm sure
You're missing out.
I sure am.
It looked interesting. I'll give it that. It looked like it was worth a watch.
Yeah, just watch the trailer, and I think you'll enjoy it.
What was I thinking of? I was thinking of Devs on FX, I guess.
Of what?
Devs, DEVS. It's some FX show that came out. I don't know. Some shit sci-fi stuff, whatever. I'm sure it's great if I sit down and watch it. So
Have y'all watched anything this week? Anything new, at least?
we've been watching a bit of Community. I think we got up to like episode 12, 13 last night. Yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. I think the story, they just finished the first semester, going into the second semester. I think that was the episode with Jack Black makes an appearance, and there's a couple of guest spots. They're trying to like join their group or whatever. It's a pretty good show actually. Like I'm surprised. The writing's really sharp. It's really good. Characters took a bit to grow on me, but I'm enjoying it. Pretty good so far.
I highly recommend you guys watch Comic Book Men.
That's that Kevin Smith one.
I mean, I used to watch it after The Walking Dead. Whenever I watched The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I watch it still today. Even though it's no longer, they're not making any more episodes of it, but it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a nerd or a geek of some sort.
Okay.
But it's kind of like Pawn Stars meets comics, basically.
I always enjoyed it whenever I watched it.
Mm-hmm. So
I've never seen it because I've just never had cable. So,
it's definitely worth a watch.
Is it just AMC? Does it come on any streaming service?
Amazon has it.
Amazon. Okay.
I read a really interesting article on giant viruses spew their DNA through a Stargate. Now scientists knows what triggers them.
What does that even mean?
So here's the article. Shaped like a splayed starfish with 5 legs, the Stargate lies on the surface of a virus and remains sealed during much of its life cycle. But once inside a host cell, each leg of the Stargate unzips. It looks like a flower, like a flower that hasn't bloomed, which allows viral genetic material to slip through the resulting hole. So basically, they figured out the mechanics of how a virus releases its infectious DNA or RNA, I guess in this case.
Yeah, I'm actually reading about it as you're talking about
Oh,
this.
okay. But it looks crazy under a microscope. I saw that picture and I was like, oh, so they call that thing a Stargate. Aptly named.
But it's massive viruses, I guess, giant viruses. So maybe larger giant viruses, which measure about 10 times the size of a typical cold virus. So I guess
it's a carrier.
That's still not that big. I mean,
no, but I guess compared 10 times as big compared to a normal virus is quite big, If there was a man 10 times the size of another man, it'd be giant. But what I'm saying is, I don't know, does that relate to like
they call him the Mountain.
no, I don't know if that would relate to like COVID or something like that, like what we're going through right now. Because it's not like, to my knowledge, they don't have giant versions of COVID. It's just like there are just bigger than normal viruses, and that's how they reproduce. That's kind of what I'm getting out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It is interesting though.
Yeah.
But this is probably democratic. This is democratic propaganda. Honestly,
It is pandemic.
viruses aren't even real. So
I shouldn't even say that word, pandemic.
you said it.
Yeah, please don't.
We're pulled for funding.
Yeah, we'll get pulled for saying a word.
Yeah,
Cancel
dude.
culture.
Dude, I don't know. Whatever, dude. I can't get into it.
I mean,
That leads into anti-vaxxers and everything else.
which are wrong. They're wrong. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine these people, what kind of lives these people must live being an anti-vaxxer and the same group of people that believe that the earth is flat. Even though the moon is a sphere, even though the sun is in the shape of a sphere, for whatever reason, our planet's different.
Well, I assume though, if you're a flat earther, you don't think that those are spheres. And I know that you would say that you could see that it's a sphere, but they would just say like it's an optical illusion or something, just like it is on Earth. You know?
Hey man, I get all my scientific facts from Eddie Bravo, so I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about, but
I often wonder if many people do exactly that. Like unironically, I really do think in a day-to-day setting, it's a thought that I have when someone says some crazy shit like that. Like they talk about pandemic or the virus being fake or this and that. I just think like, did this person hear Eddie Bravo on Joe Rogan, and because he's loud and animated and fights, that they think he knows what he's talking about? But
I feel like people under a certain age, certainly that hold those ideals, probably got it from Eddie Bravo. But when you start creeping up there in age, it's more of a... I mean, there's a place in Texas where they have banned wearing a mask. You are not allowed to wear a mask if you come into this restaurant /
it's a
bar.
privately owned restaurant though.
it's a bar outside of Austin. It's like 15 miles outside of Austin. And the little sign they put up was very scathing. It was very obviously meant to be like, if you're wearing a face mask and you feel like you need to do, it was to degrade the people wearing a face mask, basically saying like, hey, you're too big of a pussy, don't come in here,
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I guess legally they're in the right, because
The owner is a cattle rancher, and he's almost 60.
Good for him. Good. I'm happy for him. We do need people making food, man.
His job and his age aren't really the factor. It's more or less just his fucking mindset that's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's a privately owned business. He can do what he wants.
He literally was quoted saying, "Hey, we're not gonna live forever. If I get it, then I'll deal with it."
Yeah, because he's 60 years old. Exactly. He lived to be 60. So, I mean, that being said, though, I had this conversation a few days ago about how when I was I had to go back to the pandemic Eddie Bravo shit. I guess we're still on topic. But yeah, when I was in middle school, I remember I watched Loose Change, a 9/11 documentary. And there was probably like a good 6 months, year of my life that I really thought that 9/11 was like a big conspiracy. Like,
I remember
absolutely believed it.
I watched that too.
And it's important to note that I was like 15. And then by the time I hit 16, I had understood the folly of my ways. And it wasn't like I watched something that disproved Loose Change. It just was like, oh, you know what? That probably isn't true. The guy made a lot of good points. But a lot of it is conjecture and hearsay. And you use like your critical thinking skills to piece together like, yeah, there's still some weird stuff about 9/11. Don't get me wrong. Does that mean that 9/11 didn't happen? Like, absolutely not.
So what do you say to those people that that are on the flip side, are the same age as us, that went through the same thing, but still hold on to those beliefs?
Nothing.
That's a tough sell. Yeah, like Adam just said. I mean, you're talking about someone that has built a ideal or idea rather in their mind that they know is faulty. They know it's counterculture. Like it goes against most rational thought and explanation, yet they choose to champion it, which already, I hate to say it, shows that like they're comfortable with discarding the majority of information that is being fed to them, whether they think it's fake news or it's not reliable or whatever, and they choose to believe literally like an anonymous source on YouTube or something, for information about specialized topics like fucking a building collapsing or a virus spreading. You know, you're gonna listen to Joe Blow on YouTube and not magna cum laude of Cornell. I mean, so again, that's what you're up against. Like you're up against someone that is literally, as you're speaking to them, like burying their head in more sand to just because you could present to them the best facts on the planet and they're just going to choose not to believe those. So yeah, to Adam's credit, I mean, nothing is like the simplified answer because it's there. If they cared to learn and educate and critically think, important asterisks, critically think about their thought process and why they believe what they believe, they could very easily come to the realization that their views could be a little bit wrong and a little bit influenced, like I did when I was a child in high school, because you just go, you know what, maybe I was influenced, you know. There's nothing wrong with saying that, but I think people have a hard time admitting when they're wrong or when honestly they're just being like stupid. It's a hard thing to wake up and realize that you're an idiot.
I think the problem is that mainly they, it's like that belief that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. Like,
yeah, it makes you unique.
They can't see.
But we all have friends like that.
They
We all
can't
know
see.
someone like
They
that.
can't see the truth.
Yeah.
And whenever you're like dealing with that sort of mindset, there is no, like, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people too wrap their identities up in those kind of beliefs. And so again, when you strip that belief of, well, I'm the guy that believes that we didn't go to the moon and Earth is flat and the virus isn't real. If you strip that away, then really they're not really left with much, because that's kind of, you know, that's what they champion and that's what they choose to believe in the face of all opposition. So you take that away and then it's like, wow, I was just a moron this whole time. Like I said, it's very hard to be self-critical for a lot of people. I'm sure if there was a pandemic person watching this, they would say the same thing about us. They'd be like, these guys, like you just said, are ignorant.
We drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, he should take his own advice. Yeah, he should take his own advice. Yeah, whether you're a paid shill, whether I'm actually sitting here regurgitating what the big lobbyists want me to say. You know, I just need to think outside the box. But I mean, really, the only truth that you have is like mathematics and science. You know, like they're like the only hard things that are kind of like real in the universe. And when they are telling you that what you are saying is wrong, I mean, you know, everything else is just opinions. But like the way a virus spreads is not an opinion. Like the earth being round is not an opinion. Like these are not opinions, like they're facts. But quote Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings.
Oh, Mike loves Ben Shapiro.
I do not like Ben Shapiro.
I do not like Ben Shapiro because I like him as a debater. That's about it.
He can debate like a motherfucker,
but even then he hides behind that guise of, like I just said, it's like, oh, facts are the only thing that matters. So
Yeah,
As
that's
long
true.
as long as I think it's a fact, I could just say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention how many people that we know that adopt this type of mentality are victims of confirmation bias. They search whatever they are looking for, immediately find
Mhm.
one article, and bam, they're set for life. They're sold that this is the way things are. Everyone else is not in the loop. Like somehow I have some secret insider information that no one else has. Like
Oh yeah.
that's my biggest issue. And getting back to the whole Eddie Bravo thing, as much as Eddie Bravo is known for like 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu and all that, he's known as the conspiracy guy on the internet.
More so.
Mhm.
I feel like more so than his 10th planet. I bet you if you polled people,
Yeah,
more
because he's
people
known
would
more
just
so
know
through
him.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, as the conspiracy guy in Joe Rogan than the fact that he ran 10th planet at all. So
Yeah, that's not how I want to be remembered. For thinking everything is a conspiracy.
no, but you're exactly right. Like as someone that does frequent 4chan daily, I mean, a lot of these people think their white identity is under attack, their video games are under attack, whatever is under attack because, like you said, they find one article from some website that you've never fucking heard of about someone writing about, oh, we need to be more inclusive in this game or something. And see, this is what I'm telling you. And it's like, literally no one is talking about that. Like this article had like 300 views before you went and posted on 4chan and Reddit. Now it has 100,000. And now the whole conversation is about, politics and video games and this and that. And it's like, dude, like no one gave a shit till you started talking about it. Like, you're creating like a false victim narrative in your head and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the conspiracy people, they do the same thing. Maybe not Eddie Bravo, but the people that I meet in real life kind of do have a victim mentality about it. It's like, oh, like you're just, it's
Have
you're
you
like
challenged
everyone
them?
else. Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm being challenged. Well, of course, because this is how it's always been. People are against me. Like I say, it's a way to stand out when you don't have anything else. And I hate to say it, it's because your evidence doesn't have to be proven either, because you're like a kid. You're just saying like, I'm right and you're wrong. Why? Because you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay. Like,
Which
Speaking of conspiracy, um, y'all need to watch fucking Jeffrey Epstein, Super Rich.
oh yeah, I saw the trailer last night, and um
That
at the end there were a bunch of women, and they said there was some nice montage of these women, and they said what did they say? They said something powerful. It said and this time we're coming for you. And it was that Jeffstein, filthy rich, and I turned and I said I doubt anything's going to happen to anyone. I'm sorry to bust your bubble, women, but
I
women on this trailer.
I can't see. There's been a couple Epstein documentaries and stuff like that, and I just can't get into it because it feels so depressing.
I think it'd be an interesting watch. I don't know.
it's one of those. It's whenever you watch it, you realize that it's a lot. It was a lot more pervasive than you ever could have imagined. And then you wonder everyone that's associated with him, because there are some really famous people, and they ask these women, like, did like you accuse this person of like that you slept with this individual? Like this one woman accuses Alan Dershowitz, famous law professor, famous lawyer, fucking one of the people that defended OJ and everything. And he says never happened. And then they'll cut to her and she'll say, I can remember at least 4 occasions in which me and Alan Dershowitz had sex when I was like 16 or 15 or something like that. And you're like, what the fuck? And then they show the flight logs of Bill Clinton going to the island like 22 times. And you're like,
oh God, here we go.
Jesus.
No, I mean,
does not prove anything.
I
Does not
It
prove
doesn't.
anything.
And then they talk to him. Then they talk to employees, and they're like, one employee from the island gets interviewed on the show, and all he says was the fact that, there was a time that he was just like cleaning up, and he just sees like Epstein and Bill Clinton sitting on like basically this little porch area outside having breakfast.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, what goes on at that island. They called it Orgy Island. So
you're buying into the Kool-Aid, man.
No. Look, yes, I can see your point, Mike, if it doesn't prove anything. I understand that. But if I have a friend and he has a crack house and everyone that hangs out with him goes over there and they do a bunch of coke and they do a bunch of blow, and you start going over there and you go over there 20 times, it doesn't mean that you're doing that. Maybe you do really like this guy and you just want to hang out with him. But to me, it's safe to assume that, like, A, why did you ever start hanging out with this guy when you knew his reputation for being like, running a crack den, and then the fact that you do it multiple times. No, it doesn't prove that you are going over there to get high and to do crack and coke. But I think if people assume that, I mean, what are people supposed to assume? Like, why else would you be going over there, hanging out with him?
Let's bring it back down to reality for a second.
Sure.
Jerry Sandusky.
Okay.
How long was Jerry Sandusky doing the shit that he was doing?
Who is Jerry Sandusky? I'm dumb.
Penn State coach.
Right.
He was molesting the player?
Yeah, he was molesting little kids.
Yeah, he was molesting children. There were many people connected to him.
Okay.
There was previous statements that people had said that he had done messed up things, he was doing inappropriate things. Now, these people that are all connected to him, that have been connected to him for years, he had his own foundation set up. I think it's called like the 1-2 step program or something, where it's supposed to help orphan children, get on with life and have a good life and stuff like that. You can argue, well, I went over to Jeffrey Epstein. I went over to Sandusky's house 20 times. I went over to his house 20 times to work on his foundation with him.
Yeah.
His house is not a fucking island in the Caribbean where it's known for only having orgies, Mike. There's a little bit of a difference.
Oh, so the fact that Penn State did not have this culture built up around Joe Pa, and the fact that
no, but they did, because he was but he contributed more than just his pedophilia. It's like, you might know one of your friends might be a pedophile in real life. That doesn't mean that you knew that.
Right.
Which I understand that this is what I'm saying. But again, Bill Clinton, I mean, why would he be friends with Epstein?
Epstein
presidency
was friends with a lot of people.
The man's presidency was literally tarnished by the fact that he got a blowjob from a 19-year-old intern. And he liked to go to Orgy Island.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right.
Adam
Epstein
wants this to be so true. He wants it to be so true.
I'm not saying that I want it to be true. I'm just saying that
it's certainly, when you're looking at
it's Occam's razor. We've discussed this before. What's the most logical answer?
Yeah,
it's
and
not, it's not like he hung out with him at parties and went to his house in New York or whatever. He literally got on his plane and went to his private island.
Yeah, he never hung out
times.
Yeah. And the argument that I think Adam,
it's not them going to each other's houses.
Yeah. They're not. Epstein never came to the White House and chilled out.
I understand. I'm not making a point-by-point comparison. I'm just stating the fact that just because someone was doing something fucked up and you were involved with them does not mean that you were A, aware, or B, had any other notion that there was something fucked up going. That's why That's why I brought up Sandusky, where there were people saying that there was a possibility of inappropriate things happening, but there was no proof. There was no evidence. So it was not taken seriously.
And my one argument there, for just to go back to Bill, would be, then why did he lie?
I don't know the guy.
Yeah, I don't know him. I've never been to his island.
Really? Okay, I'm gonna invoke Occam's motherfucking razor. Okay, because all right, so let's say you find out one of your childhood friends is a fucking pedophile, rapes children,
rapist,
whatever.
Murderer, yeah.
I'm supposed to say I never met them.
Are you? No, I'm not saying that.
I grew up
I would
with
just
the
be
guy.
like, I had no fucking clue.
I'm not.
Yeah, I went to the guy's house every day. I had no idea that he was into this shit.
Of course, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, wouldn't you want to distance yourself from this person as much as possible?
Yes, but a lie.
But say you never met them, you don't really know them that well.
If Adam was a murderer and he gets arrested for murder and I get questioned, I'm going to say, look, I talk to the guy every single day. Every day I talk to him. And I would have never, I grew up with him. I visited his house multiple times. I never would have thought something like that was going on. Now, the flip of that is then if I go, oh, I want to distance myself. Yeah, actually, I never talked to the guy. I didn't really even know him. Like, then they got to be like, well, you're lying. Like, why are you lying? And I'm going, oh, I just wanted to distance myself, man.
Adam,
like, no, it's got to look real fishy.
Adam is not in the public spotlight. He has never been president of the United States. You cannot compare regular people like us to the daily politics that celebrities have to endure. They look at things from a different microscope.
Bill's already been fucking president. He can't get elected again. He's got nothing like to lose. Like
nothing to lose.
Oh, because people don't like going
something
after
illegal, like children on an island.
Because
Adam,
people
you're too close to your mic. Back up a little bit.
Because people because people don't like going after the Clintons, right? Like, this is a person that
it doesn't end well for them. That's for sure.
Well, you're damn right. You're damn right. And I'm just saying, like, someone that's under this microscope has to take in a lot of things into consideration. Where it's not some average Joe Schmo, you know, where you could be like, I didn't know that shit was going on.
Because if you didn't know it was happening, then why not just say it?
But someone who's a public relations specialist who's like, listen, you have to deny that you know this person at all.
Listen to me. Did you know that he was fucking kids? I don't. And you got to fucking lie. That's
Even fucking Trump is quoted as saying that, he's a great guy. He likes beautiful women. They're usually on the younger side too. That's like a direct quote from Trump. And even Trump's like, I didn't really know him that well. I'm like,
because
really?
He can get away with stuff like this. He literally said he could shoot someone and still become president. Like, you're not making any headway here, Adam. Like, this is a guy who's, of course, the most scum and villainy fucking president who says shit.
What I could argue is maybe if Bill didn't do anything, he definitely knew that things were happening. And then that's why you deny. Like, because you go, yeah, look, I didn't do any of it. But yeah, sometimes when I'd be over there, there'd be some fucking wild shit happening. And I like go swim in the pool and be like, forget this shit. I'll be back in an hour.
People fucking in that pool. Like, and apparently Prince Andrew was fucking a teenager.
Yeah, I know.
In that pool.
He got a lot. He's the other one that's gotten a lot of flack. A lot of flack, Prince Andrew.
This is our new conspiracy show where we talk about unfounded conspiracies.
There are literal photos of these young girls with these individuals and then interviews with these women. Like, so do you not believe women now, Mike? Is that what you're telling me?
I was going to make fun of the hashtag earlier, hashtag believe women. But, it's true. If what do these women have to gain, really, from coming out and saying, like, this lawyer...
You want to attack a powerful person? Like,
this lawyer, had sex with me 4 times while I was over at Jeffrey Epstein's island, along with these 50 other individuals. Like Adam says, like, you're nobody. you're literally like a discarded person in history that was used for like nefarious things, and you want to go after like the Clintons and these people? Like, yeah, I mean they'll fucking, I mean, maybe not the Clintons, but there are people that'll make you fucking disappear. I mean,
No, supposedly that Epstein's girlfriend threatened like several of these women, and they would call them, like they would move, and they would call them and tell them where they lived and tell them where their family members lived as a threat.
wait, what? Oh, like they would call the ex and say like, "Hey, by the way, this is where your mom lives."
You guys
Like
sound
even when
out
they
of
moved,
your
they would call them
minds.
back up and be
No,
like, I know
have
where
you
you
not
are.
seen Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman? It's based on a true story. So
Okay, we're talking about a movie.
no,
Okay.
it's a real movie. It's
a real
documentary.
movie. It's a
It's a
real
documentary.
movie.
It's a documentary. I've watched it many times. It's great.
Okay.
Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise were really married. Okay.
Great
in
is debatable. It's a
1990.
strange film.
No, they were married when they shot the film. Stanley Kubrick would not let them be in the same room with one another. He created like marriage tension. It was a real fucked up movie.
So yes, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg,
Why? I didn't
Bill
say
Clinton,
any of those names.
all these
I didn't
people,
say any of those names.
all these
Nope.
people
Nope.
are on. Hey, if you're going the full
They're
distance
not on
with
the
the
flight
conspiracy
log.
They're not on
theory,
the flight log. They're not on the
doesn't
flight
mean
log.
they never were there. I mean, we're talking. If you're going the full Epstein distance,
No.
he has dirt.
No.
He has dirt on
No.
tons of elites.
I completely disagree with what you just said, because whether
He
you
actually
believe
did have dirt.
on whom.
Thank you.
Well, okay, yeah. He has
One of the
dirt on-
girls says that they literally one of his New York townhome literally had cameras installed in the walls,
Yeah, that's common knowledge.
and
yeah.
he had a security room that like it was bathrooms, it was bedrooms, it was everywhere, like
And there
anything
was
that
a
took
room,
place.
there was a room under his stairs in that New York place, I think, that had it had like no cameras, and it was like it was laced in like lead or something.
Lead. That was where his security room was. It was laced in lead.
So that nothing could like get in or get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the signals could
I mean,
not
that's
be
real.
like,
You're shaking your head, Mike, but that's like real. I mean, that's
He's
not.
a Bond
We didn't
villain. That's what
we didn't
it
make
is.
that up. So
he's
why
a
do you have?
billionaire.
He's
Why do
he's
you have
creating
a-
a laser that's gonna
No.
shoot down and
So
take
you
out
tell me-
society.
So you tell me why that exists. Why does he have cameras in every room of his house, hidden cameras, with a lead secret room under his fucking staircase?
You know who else had cameras and recording equipment in every part of their room? Prince.
Okay.
So he could record at any time. Does that mean
He's a
Prince?
music.
I
Show me
agreed.
one of Epstein's
Agreed.
songs.
These are cameras, not audio equipment.
You didn't ask me about that. You just said give me one
Okay.
example of someone
Alright.
else. Who knows what his reasons were? I'm not saying they probably were not good reasons. I will give you that. Probably not.
Alright.
But that does not mean that there is a huge conspiracy of Pizzagate proportions.
I don't see. You see, you're discrediting.
Pizzagate?
You're discrediting the somewhat realistic side of the story by using things like Pizzagate and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos.
No, I agree.
You're making it seem outlandish when it is in fact more like Pizzagate is there's no evidence for Pizzagate. There's no one coming out going like I was locked in a pizza cellar being sold as a kid.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
there's a lot of people coming out and saying that they did. They were a young child that worked on Epstein's island, and they were molested by many powerful men. There's a lot of evidence to support that as well.
Raped.
What this
They were
black?
raped.
I wasn't gonna use such terminology, but this is a clean podcast. But he has a black book. It's just a lot of, people know his plane as the Lolita Express. There's just so many signs that point to nefarious behavior. And so you just have to think like the people that went out of their way to hang out with him. And that is what it is. It's going out of your way, because if you like maybe peons like us don't know those rumors. But you better believe that if you're going to hang out with this guy or you're at a party with this guy, someone's gonna tell you. You know, it's like the scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Hey, Bruce, that's the guy that killed his fucking wife. You know, like people are gonna give you this information. Like, hey, that guy, yeah, he's inviting you to like his island and shit. But like, hey, man, like, if you're not into that shit, like, like, do not go there. Like, I bet there are people telling you that shit. It's like an open secret.
I will just say this.
Open Secret.
I'm not
which
sure.
Which is also a good movie.
I will say this. I'm not sure as to what I believe regarding Epstein, but I do not think that. I'll say this. I think it's highly unlikely that these super elites are in some cabal of evil to get what they want from people. I feel like that's what people want to believe, like as far as conspiracy theories go. But I'm saying I don't know, but I feel like if you're gonna believe part of the conspiracy, you need to believe all of it. You can't be like, well, I'm gonna believe this portion of the conspiracy. Like, it doesn't work like that. Because I mean, you take out portions of the entire theory, and it just kind of doesn't make as much sense, in my opinion. I know I sound like Michael Shermer at this point, professional skeptic, but
okay. I was like, who missed that?
But yeah, I just feel like it's impossible to know. We'll never know fully.
Oh, does he run Skeptics Magazine or whatever?
Probably.
No. Oh yeah, he is.
Even
yeah,
he
he's
thinks,
editor in chief of the magazine. He's been on Joe Rogan like 2 or 3 times.
even he
right?
thinks the Epstein thing is shady.
Yeah.
As far as his death. Yeah.
Yeah, they cover that in the last episode. It's a 4-part docuseries, by the way.
Yeah, but for those people that
in the last episode they cover the death, and they're like,
can I just say that I hate that term, docuseries? I know that's what it is. I just hate it. It sounds so
why do you hate it?
It sounds so pretentious to me.
It's a documentary series.
So call it a 4-part documentary. I don't know.
I spell color with a U.
Yeah, see, if you are from the UK, I wouldn't blame you.
Oh boy. Well, I will say this. There's no way around it. His death was incredibly shady. Definitely something more going on. But as far as everything else, it's conjecture at best. That's how I feel.
His death is conjecture. You know?
You sound like Alan Dershowitz, who raped teenage girls, but
damn, that's fucked.
I mean, coming from you, Adam, that is very harsh. I will say that.
Oh man.
So
on that, or just close it. Pull the curtain.
Yes, before it gets more political.
No, something more fun. Are y'all even interested in the PS5 Digital Event next week?
What is it? I don't even know what it is.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be their full announcement. Here's the console. Here's the price.
Didn't they already do that? No, they did gameplay.
No,
but then it wasn't gameplay.
They did gameplay and pictures of the controller.
No, I don't care. I don't care in the sense of like I'll watch it once it happens, but I'm not gonna tune in live or anything. I don't care that much. I mean, I'm not gonna buy the console new. I'm a grown man. I don't buy new shit.
I mean, considering everything's so backwards compatible nowadays, they honestly, to a degree, hurt themselves to try to push it.
No,
when it is new.
I disagree completely.
Are you serious?
I'm a grown.
What's the reason to buy it?
Quotes. I'm a grown man. So as a 30-year-old man, I'm aware that buying a system just means that I'm gonna have to pay full price for all these games. It's gonna be like a slow drip of games where I think as an adult you understand buying a console probably 2 or 3 years into its lifespan, you're getting the best bang for your buck because you're gonna get a bundle deal, you're gonna get a discounted console, you're going to get all these games with full DLC for $20. So you're gonna have this whole library of PS5 games to play in 2 or 3 years. But kids don't care. You didn't care when you were a kid. Xbox 360. No. What game is it? What games does it have? It doesn't have any games. It has Perfect Dark. All right, give it to me.
We stood in line at midnight.
Yeah, you buy it. Look, the Switch is coming out. What does the Switch have? Nothing. Okay, buy it. Give it to me. Like, oh, it has Wii Sports, I think. You know, like, what's the GameCube have? What's the PS2 have? None of these consoles had like launch games that maybe it had one, but that's the point. If you're under the age of 20 and you're not buying these consoles yourself, like, you don't give a shit. You just want it because it's like it's a new thing. But as an adult, you understand like that's kind of like it's kind of faulty, you know. Like it's gonna collect dust up on your mantle. So
you put your consoles on your mantle.
Whatever. My TV stand, I put them in the trash can. I don't fucking know. The trash. PC's better.
Don't worry. Next week we'll have more conspiracy theories that are baseless coming at you guys. So stay tuned.
That'll be happening.
They're gonna be red hot conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we'll talk about PS5 conspiracy theories that they think it's gonna be better than PC or their solid state drives. I've read their solid state drives are supposed to run better than they do on a, and I'm like, dude, you can go back and read the same shit about a PS4 and a PS3. A PS3 was supposed to be able to fucking the emotion chip was supposed to be able to render scenes without using RAM and shit. It's like they just say all this shit.
Did they really used to say all that?
Yeah. PS4 was supposed to be like stronger than like 2 PCs. You know, like literally quoted as saying that. Like this is what everyone says. Because they're just trying to sell their console. You just pay some guy to say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. But no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm excited for the PS5 and its library, especially if it is actually backwards compatible in some way. That's really cool. But again, I mean, until you see these things, the Xbox One was supposed to be backwards compatible. And they just kind of have like a small library of Xbox originals that you can buy, you know, or use.
I mean, it expands.
Someone's knocking.
It expands on like a monthly basis or not a daily basis, but it expands pretty regularly.
You guys gonna watch the SpaceX launch on Saturday? You gotta tune in?
I generally try to. Assuming fucking something doesn't go wrong like the weather and they have to postpone it.
Yeah. I work at 4 on Saturday, but I think
it's gonna be the
3:30.
It's the first human crew being launched into space by SpaceX.
Yeah, on the Dragon, I think is the rocket. And that rocket has flown 23 times, 20 of the times it flew to the International Space Station and back to deliver shit. So it has a solid track record. I would hate to think that mistakes would happen, you know. I mean, I guess mistakes can happen when you're talking about something like a fucking rocket launching, but
yeah, it's always space travel's never.
Yeah. That's why I'm excited for this kind of like era of space travel. Now that we finally have the manned astronauts going up there, it's I hope we have fucking 15 successful launches in a row and there's no accidents, because it would, you know, I think a lot of people to harp on conspiracy theorists and shit, a lot of the moon landing people, their ammo is like, why haven't we been back? Where does the technology, where did it go? You're telling me in 40 years we can't go back to the moon in 50 years? And it's like, no, I think we were just tired of spending $100 million and blowing people up just to go up there to prove that you can. You know what I mean? Like, what is the cost of the lives and everything to get up there just to be like, look, we did it. We made it. Like, where now it's becoming more feasible again and hopefully a lot safer. And I think once people see that,
I think it's safer and it's cheaper. So
yeah, safer and cheaper. And I think it could really be like a big deal for space travel, because once people see that, like, hey, it's not like you're rolling the fucking dice and you got like a 10% chance of blowing up. Like once that fear kind of goes out of people's heads, I think it's gonna really be a lot better, you know. I get scared. I get scared watching it Wednesday, watching those astronauts in the pod, and I was like, man, I'm just wondering what's going through their head. Like, are they like making peace with their gods? Like, are they like, okay, I better get it sorted out right now? Like, and then it gets scrubbed, and I'm like, I don't know. I get off the thing and be like, look, you got to get someone else. I already did my
If you're one of those astronauts and you could listen to music in your headset or whatever,
Yeah.
what song would you choose to be shot into space with?
Oh, are you saying like as the
As
rocket
you're
is
being
taking
shot
off?
at, what would you listen to? What would be your song?
I would hate to be like lame. I would probably have to choose some like classical piece or something.
So Final Fantasy 7. All right, so
No.
Adam.
No, Final Fantasy 7. I was saying like
I think I like classical. I like the idea of. I think it would be somewhat soothing. But if you just want to like get your like adrenaline pumping or something, it would have to be like as corny as it sounds, like Rocket Man or something. Like it would just for the moment. I don't know. I think I would enjoy it.
No, I put on like a Wagner overture, have it go, like, you know, something like a big Beethoven
Or crescendos
piece.
whenever the rockets go off.
Exactly. Like literally, like it pumps you up 2 minutes prior. Like right when that shit hits, like you're going, you know, some ode to joy, like a real like, you know, because then you can feel like your part. It's like history is all. I'm launching this space while listening to these classical composers, like, you know.
See, screw that. For me,
I like that idea.
For me, I would pull a Star Trek. I would use the Beastie Boys Sabotage.
Oh my god!
I'd be like, yo, if I'm going up, man, I want to be adrenaline pumping. I want
to be bad. I'm sure you're not gonna have a problem with your fucking adrenaline pumping.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be going.
I feel
regardless.
That's why I said I'd almost be nervous that it'd be like depleted, like because they sit there for like 2 or 3 hours, you know. And I'm like, I feel like by the time the rocket would launch, I'm like, look, motherfucker, I've already had an adrenaline spike like 9 times sitting here.
I'd want more. I'd need more.
Would you do it? Like realistically, if they said, Mike, you can be an astronaut, we're gonna put you on this rocket and go to the International Space Station. Would you have like the capacity to do it? I don't know that I could. I think I'd be like, look, I would love to do that, but I am also like enormously afraid of that.
My first response would be, I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
The second response would be, but I would be joining history.
Could you blindfold me for the entire time?
Would you strap yourself to a rocket in order to go into space?
Yeah, I don't know. I say I wouldn't, but also there's a man at my door asking me that. Also,
there's like a 90% chance I would say no. 90%, but there's that 10%.
Yeah.
That's like,
oh yeah.
Maybe I do it.
I think if perhaps faced with like the, hey, look, you can go to the International Space Station next week. Do you want to go? I think I would have to listen to the 10% of my crazy brain and be like, yes. Oh shit! What did I just say? Did I say yes? Like,
it's an opportunity of a lifetime. You will never
yeah,
get that
exactly.
opportunity.
Even if you blew up and your life ended, it would be like, well, you know, at least I went out about as good as you can go.
I feel like, I feel like I would say yes.
What percentage of you? Because I think me and Mike are realistic. I think we're saying 10% yes, 90% no. Just wondering if you have a larger yes in you.
I think I might have a 25%. That would say yes. Because it's one of those like,
Adam has
if I die, I die. Like, you got to go out some way. But if not, you get to go to fucking space.
Yeah.
So, and that's pretty fucking cool.
I could live with going to artificially generated, like when they fly people in airplanes and they're like, oh, this is what zero gravity feels like. I'll live with that. I don't
Yeah,
need.
like when you go to the Cheesecake Factory, it's almost the same experience. It's going to space. So, no, I don't know. I definitely don't think, like, yeah, being in a zero G pod would be neat. But I mean, obviously there's no substitute for the real thing. But what the guy Joe Rogan even said it when he got up on the International Space Station, looked down. He was just like, "Yeah, I mean, there it is." Like he said, the moonwalk was the big like, holy shit, But
You're on a different
Yeah, I
planet
do
at
think that
point.
would be.
yeah, yeah. He said actually walking around in space is like the big like, holy shit. But yeah, like being on the space station, I think he described it as like you've seen so many pictures of Earth anyway. Like you look down and it's literally, it's like going to see, what the Eiffel Tower or something. I'm sure it's impressive, but like I've never seen it and I can picture it perfectly in my mind. And honestly, I'm probably not going to be able to get as close or like, as those pictures do or the high fidelity. So you're going to see it and be like, yeah, I mean, there it is. Like, and I would hate to think that it would be like that looking down at Earth. But the guy said, like, realistically, it's like it's oversaturated. So he looked down, he hyped himself up and he looks down. He's like, oh, yeah, there it is. Like,
Yeah, because photography, you can go back and like,
yeah,
you
edit
can change
in
it to make it more
4K.
clear
Yeah, we've already, I'll take 4K
instead of seeing your
photos.
eyes.
Yeah, and you look at them and you're like, this looks incredible. And then like I'm looking at it and really it's like all overcast and shitty and humid. And I'm like, wow, this picture looks great, but it's actually kind of shitty to be here.
What about when you see something amazing? Like I've definitely been a victim of this where you see something worthy of taking a photograph of and then you take the picture.
And it doesn't. Yeah.
You take the picture and you're like, wow, there's something about the naked eye that
You need a wide angle lens. That's what I'll tell you right there.
Still.
Most things I can't capture in person through photography are due to the limitations of like your lenses and like landscapes are the big things that I've seen, like breathtaking lands. Like I've seen 2 times in my life. It's the same landscape. It's in northern Thailand. You go up on this temple, you overlook all this shit. And I remember when I was going back to it, I took Jade there and I was like, I already know what to expect. I've already seen this, so it's not gonna be that impressive, like. And I remember seeing it again. I mean, just as like, holy shit! And then it's the same thing. You pull out the camera and you try to like, and like a cap,
but
you
it
just
doesn't
can't
duplicate
capture.
it.
Yeah, but I like to think that if I had an expensive wide-angle lens, I could maybe capture it. I don't know.
I feel like the closest we could get practically is putting ourselves in an imaginary scenario where all right, let's say NASA decided.
You think VR could do it?
Yeah, you still can tell it's like VR is not at that capability yet where things are real looking.
I think like a VR simulation 4K of walking
a spacewalk, that would be fucking crazy.
A very specific, and it has to be a specific thing because obviously you're talking about like gigabytes of photos and shit. But yeah, like a VR 4K spacewalk that's like 100 gigs. I feel like could give you a fairly accurate feeling, especially like in your gut of like, holy shit,
I disagree only because there are underwater VR games where there's something about all the noise. I mean, I've never gone scuba diving, but
yeah,
I've gone swimming, and when you go under the water, it's just quiet.
Yeah,
you cannot duplicate that with a VR headset.
You ever put on noise canceling headphones and some fucking bigger noise canceling headphones?
Yeah, I have.
That?
I have.
I mean, I did a demonstration, literally, probably maybe is the same one that you did, like an ocean floor walk or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, I remember being like amazed at the fidelity of some of this shit. Like, it's still obviously like not real, but I was like, wow, these graphics are incredible. And then I remember like looking over the edge of like the seabed and having like really having like vertigo. Like I was not okay. I knew it was fake, but your brain is like, nah. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be anywhere near
No,
that.
it does. And even in the Batman VR game, there's a scene where you press a couple keys on the piano, and then all of a sudden you start descending down into the Bat Cave. And the first time I played it, I was like, had to like stabilize myself. I'm like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. It's your mind playing tricks. Yeah.
But that's a lot different than floating in space. Than
I agree.
floating
I
in the
agree.
water.
You're also not going to have the same fear factor because even when you're in like the ocean VR, for example, like I've never been scuba diving, but I've been like snorkeling in open water, like with sharks and shit. And there is something about looking into the void and seeing the darkness of the ocean and knowing that like
it's real.
Everything is out there and it's actually fucking there.
Yeah. It's real. Like you said, the spacewalk fear of looking down and that's Earth, and I guess if I jump off the space station and fly away, I'm gonna go into the void of space. Like VR will give you like a mental simulation of like vertigo, I'm sure, but nothing like what you're gonna experience going out. But I mean, it's as close as a lot of us are ever gonna get to a lot of things. So
I still feel like
that's true.
I still feel like if you imagine yourself on that space station and you see with your naked eye the Earth, there has to be something humbling about that, though. Knowing that.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine, no doubt.
But, I mean, other than that, VR is probably the closest thing you'll get.
Do you think that in the future, in like 20 years, when VR, 20 years, 50 years, whatever, when VR is like pretty lifelike, and if you could use like a Google Maps to travel the globe with your VR headset, do you think like travel will just decline rapidly or not?
It's interesting. I feel like that's really contingent upon the capabilities of the virtual reality.
I'm thinking of like a full 4K comfortable headset, maybe almost, I say headset, maybe 4K contacts in 50 years.
Like Ready Player One.
But see, but not even a suit. I would argue. So the reason I bring it up is I'm thinking like, when we talk about the Eiffel Tower, when you see pictures of Japan, it is that. It's people who have taken like the best photographs of those places. So when you go and visit, it's overcast, it's muggy, it's raining. Like, there it is, but like you're not necessarily comfortable because it's 95 degrees and it's fucking raining. Like that's not an enjoyable experience where like if you could go to these places under ideal circumstances, is that more enjoyable than going there and experiencing like Thailand? It's hot as fuck. You sweat constantly. Like, would you visit Thailand through a VR headset, and would that be more enjoyable than going and sweating your ass off on the beach?
Those are negative tangibles, but the positive tangibles would be like going to a place, going to a beach, feeling the sand between your toes, feeling the sea breeze. Those are things that VR cannot duplicate, no matter how.
You are correct. You are correct. And just hanging out on a strip and like eating and drinking and soaking in the environment. Technically, you could still soak in the environment. You could still people watch if it was live, but you couldn't necessarily share a drink, even if it was like a VR space of sharing drinks. It is not the same as being there. I will say
I'm never going to be able in a VR. This as a personal experience in a VR experience to be sitting on a beach,
the Thai prostitute
on like eating a burger that was just grilled and then watching the sunset while like smelling the fucking Mediterranean. Like
skin cancer, red meat. Think of look at this. You're right. You're better off.
I'm never gonna be able to experience all of that.
Yeah.
In virtual reality.
What if things get so bad that that's the only way?
Oh, Matrix style. That's actually, now that I'm thinking about the Matrix, I'm like, why Well, I guess they did have the Matrix. They could go and experience Thailand beaches if they wanted to. They needed to have more fun on the Matrix. I'd be like, yo, boot me up some vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
program.
If they wanted to keep
This
these
shit is
people
so
happy,
depressing. Yeah.
if they wanted to keep these people happy, why'd they give them office jobs?
Yeah, right? No shit.
That makes no sense.
But you're correct, Mike. Very possibly. I mean, realistically, in like 50 years, there's some species that you're only going to be able to experience in VR. You know.
Yeah, polar bears are gonna be gone because they're just exploding into a ball of flames.
Yeah, and more than likely, a bunch of rhinos and big cats will probably be gone too. And you could probably experience them visually in VR. And so, but again, that's still not like this will sound very like conceited from a humanity point of view, but like it's not like we're experiencing big cats. If you're experiencing them in real life, they're already kind of like prisoners as is. So a VR would actually be a better way for like to have things like zoos and shit. More humane, definitely. But yes, but for like
absolutely.
A beach vacation, it definitely doesn't improve. I guess I would just say it improves weather. That's about it.
Let me ask you
It
something.
improves weather.
When you're playing a VR game, isn't it kind of a bummer that you can reach out physically and there's nothing there? Like that's what.
But as Adam said, in 50 years, what if you have a tactile? What if you wear a glove that has resistance? Programmed in.
Yeah, you can't feel the wind, but say you fucking can go to Africa and you can walk up and pet a rhinoceros. Like you can feel.
And we're assuming in 50 years that
feel its
technology
skin.
exists because John Carmack, I know on one of these Joe Rogans, spoke a lot about how like that's right now like nearly impossible to do. Some kind of really realistic tactile feedback. Like there would have to be like a breakthrough.
I want the holodeck. That's what I want.
But a holodeck would literally just be like VR contacts in a suit that you wear with like full tactile feedback. Again, you could feel the sand in your toes. You could feel touch, you could feel wind, you could feel rain. Like you could feel these sensations, and at the end of it all, you take it off, and it's I'm in my house.
But let's say
would that drive people crazy?
That would be jarring.
Would it make you? You become obsessed with it because you just be like, this real life sucks. Like
because vacation depression.
Throw on the VR headset. We're going to Thailand. Like
the vacation depression, like when you get back and everything's just kind of a little bit less. Because you're back home.
You're back to
if you
normal.
could daily go somewhere else. The second you took it off and came back to reality, you would just be like,
yeah. And then what happens? And then what happens when you get numb to that sensation? You know what I mean? Like there's clear mental health risk.
Yeah, I think so.
Not if
there are gonna be many deaths.
Not if going outside is horrendous, and for
You're correct,
sanity, and for your sanity, you need that.
If the alternative is like.
Outside becomes dangerous.
If you could not emulate a vacation or any kind of outside stimulus more enjoyable than VR, then absolutely it would become and we only say it's jarring because we know a life of outside luxury. If in 100 years, kids that are raised where it's like you can't go outside because it's too much pollution.
I'm talking about like climate change, natural disasters,
population.
maybe another pandemic.
Yeah,
maybe
something
pandemic.
like that. Yeah.
But interesting. I like that though.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I don't know. VR is pretty swag.
It's fun spin up. Is there anything else that y'all wanted to cover?
No, we're talking about SpaceX Saturday.
I just wanted
SpaceX Saturday.
I wanted to throw out a big thank you to Jason for soldiering on like a champion.
No, I'm fine.
We weren't sure if this was gonna happen today. But Jason
next week you can put rep up here.
Sore throats, assuming Jason doesn't have coronavirus.
COVID-19. We were making jokes, and now he's gone. We'll miss him. But no, it's a sore throat. It ain't nothing else.
Well, that's good. But nope, that's it for me.
Jason, you still have zero social media, I'm assuming.
Yep. Don't do that. I just come talk.
Mike, where can everybody find you?
At _Renrag.
On just Twitter?
On Twitter?
Yes, sir.
You got an Instagram yet?
I do, but they are not going to get that.
Oh, that's OnlyFans privileges.
It's OnlyFans.
Patreon level. You'll get my Instagram, my personal Instagram.
Jason's
Snapchat.
gonna just make an OnlyFans for us, and he's gonna be responsible for that content.
Never. It doesn't have to be pornographic.
You'll see all the
to my
sexy shots of
understanding.
him.
Videos are buy one get one.
It can be literally anything. I didn't know that OnlyFans was like anything. It can be anything though. It doesn't have to be pornographic.
Yeah, but I feel like Patreon is
clearly
the
that's what it's used for.
yeah. It's OnlyFans and Patreon are basically the same thing, except OnlyFans is used for porn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at XAlienXTV. That's going to be all this week for Nerdy, Drunk, and Stoned. Hope you all enjoyed yourself. Please be sure to comment down below, share it with your friends, like and subscribe, and pound that bell icon. And we will see you all next week.
God willing.
Bye.